Okay. Welcome to Tuesday night with I'm the one who works here now, aka CW Chanter. I'm gonna change this name of this channel. When I started this channel is almost as old as my main channel, CW Chanter, my main channel, whatever. The first channel I did. And this channel was started when I had my first movement towards enough with this YouTube fame game. I'm walking away like the Japanese calligraphy artist then moves to a new town and changes their name so that they can start afresh, unburdened by their reputation and esteem. Inspired by Richard G. James, Aphex Twin, being like, I'm gonna have this title and this name and this, or uh, Alan Jurgensen from Ministry having like a million different projects, failing to take into account the fact that, well, yeah, those cats when they did those things were, legit famous. So people were actually like inspired to go out and, chase down those different monikers and sub projects and side projects. But Token Study, gold medal onto the Jelly Beans, grabbing that silver. Can't speak with that bronze. You can speak. We've got F1 for you. I'm F1 for you. Jelly Beans, I thought of you, CW, when I saw that Ivan Teller was back. Yes. Ivan Teller is back, making a liar of us all, making a liar of me. We have Jen Q with us as well. Billy Exeter with us as well. There you go. Oh, grabbing the gold on X. Yes, we are simulcasting across the nations. Across nations, at least. We have Mario Heat about to hit the highway. Much love. I'll listen on the background. Hey, listen. We appreciate you listening. Yeah, so I'll tell you what. Ivan Teller coming back. I'm not upset. Rodrigo Vieira. There you go. Hey, look. Simul chanting. I like it. I like it. Mario Heat. Mario Heat across the board. We got Mario Heat on Twitch. So we definitely have gold on. You got the gold on Twitch for sure, my friend. Even if you may have gotten copped out on the YouTube front, it's hard to keep up. Listen, the numbers jump up when the numbers jump up, folks. Listen, as far as monetization of this second channel goes, we have another person up on what's the shirt. This shirt is one of my mom got me this shirt, right? This shirt is like straight up. I don't even know if this is Old Navy. I don't even know if this is Target, right? This is like somebody's Big Lot stores, attempt at I think probably trying to grab some sort of, who is that guy with like the trucker hats? You know what I mean? It's some sort of like, I think it's some normal USA attempt at like an afflicted vibe. My mom got me this shirt. You know what I mean? I just like it because it's like vaguely like cosmic and nautical. You know what I mean? And it makes the cut. Tim Frey with us as well. As far as the qualifications for this channel being monetizable, the only thing that we're not hitting, or we haven't hit as far as being able to be monetized, is watch hours. So if people can find it in their hearts to watch this bad boy or watch future videos on this channel to completion, that would be fantabulous. And if you know that you've got videos if you could look in the back catalog on this channel and see if there's anything that appeals to you that you might be interested in watching and watch that stuff, that'd be great. I'm going to try and watch my P's and Q's and not curse. Seriously. Say what you will. Folks, I've got attorney's fees. People know we've been through this. You know what I mean? Foxy's friends. Foxy's friends. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for being here in the live chat. Hope to make it as entertaining as possible. No agenda show, just here live streaming. Basically what I'll do is give you, kind of, trying to avoid, not dead air. I got things to talk about. I'll basically just give you kind of a mixed bag of kind of things that I've had, and we'll probably do the usual thing where I pick up a topic, start to talk about it, maybe get like 2 steps into a 3-step foxtrot, right? And then get distracted by some other question in the live chat and then just leave that bad boy hanging. You know how we do, right? I've got things as far as nostalgia loop things that I've taken, shows and movies that I've taken notes on. I've got notes on. I've got this RPG game called Exalted that, I've got the RPG channel. I'm not going to, I know folks, of all the things that I do, the RPG channel, it's not for everybody, right? You know what I mean? Like the stamp collecting channel, the TTRPG channel, right? Ranking the super hunks of pickleball, the YouTube channel. There's going to be stuff that I do that's going to have appeal, and there's going to be stuff that I do that's going to be like some of the people from the conspiracy theory ufology community will come in and join in on, and then some people will be like, I'm going to have to leave you hanging, Chanter, right? And I accept it. But the reason I brought this thing out was I was just going to say there was a thing in here that was just I thought was interesting because it had to do with, it was like a tie into the conspiracy theory stuff. Basically, this is from 2004, and there's stuff in the lore from here that is just, like ancient aliens type stuff. There's like dragon kings that are in like suspended animation. But to that point about not getting too far off the field, let me do the thing with Ivan Teller. So Ivan Teller's channel got totally smushed, right? For all intents and purposes, he got his channel deleted by YouTube. That's what he had reported was happening. That's what he reported had happened on Facebook that I saw. And that's what I could see as having had happened based on my subscriptions. His channel was no longer present and removed. Old things that I had in saved playlists, when I looked at them, the video is no longer available. It was a deleted channel. Though I noticed, and you can notice this on sometimes, look, I've been using YouTube since 2000 and at least as a regular user, I've been using YouTube since 2006. And I can recall a time when you could see when a channel got deleted and there would be more feedback about it. You'd go to your subscription feed and you'd see this channel no longer available. And sometimes I recall, this might be a constructed memory, but I recall seeing this channel has been deleted for violations of YouTube terms of service or more information. What was unique to me this time around was it was like Ceausescu, right? It was like YouTube had essentially erased them from history. There was no indication. There was no grayed out thing on channel had been deleted. It had been nothing. It was just one day I noticed, I said, Ivan Teller was a regular uploader, right? He used to upload basically every day. And as a regular practice, because I found him to be, though his content was out there, to say the least. His delivery, I found to be have this, what people generally call this ASMR quality. Though I don't think that he was doing it intentionally, as an inadvertent after effect of his at the crossroads of mental capability, self-consciousness, what he was engaged in, and technology. He just would drone at a consistent volume level, and the nature of it was just, I would oftentimes go to sleep to like a playlist of like 2 or 3 Ivan Teller, clips. And so one day I'm getting ready to chief out at night, and I'm looking, I'm noticing, I'm remembering, wait, it's been like 2 or 3 days. Where's my new Teller? And then I go to my subscriptions, and it's like, wait, and I have to go through it a couple of times. I'm like, wait, have I forgotten my ABCs? Like, what's going on? Here's this. Where is it? It's gone. And then I have to do the quick research. I have to jump around, and I realize then I'm not on Facebook, but then I follow the links and whatever, and I find out and piece together that he had been talking about receiving multiple warnings and then strikes and then having his channel taken down. And I made a video about it and talked about the loss of the channel, what this means, yada, yada, yada. You can see that video where I talk about it. But here's the deal. Despite saying that he no longer trusted YouTube as a platform and place where he could put his material because of the problems that he encountered, and despite the fact that his channel had obviously actually been deleted, he came back. And his channel was restored. Now, I take no umbrage at it. I don't think you make me look like a liar, Ivan, how dare you? But what I think is interesting is, well, number one, he's back. His channel has been restored, and his videos coming back he's back, and he's doing his usual thing, which is fine. And I have no judgment about that. But I do want to point out the fact that a person that saw and had an experience with just how fickle and problematic a platform such as YouTube can be with the warning and strike system, despite having said the fact that I can't trust this platform, I'm going to Rumble, when given the opportunity and having those strikes and things reversed, didn't come back and say, hey, I'm back. The videos are back. That's awesome. Enjoy them while you can here. But as I begin the process of uploading them to Odyssey or Rumble or, Plenty of Fish or, BitChute or whatever. And I don't blame him. It's just relieved that he's back on YouTube. And I think that should tell you all that you need to know about the reality of, hey, YouTube is YouTube. We all know that there's a lot of, communists and socialists and wonderful, beautiful people with high ideals about what makes America terrible. But when you say to them, okay, so where are you going to go? You're going to go here, there, or the other place? Well, hell no. Right? Because for all its problems, you know what I mean? The number one ass kicking, take no prisoners, we're killing everybody else, but we got the most likelihood of surviving that place in the world is, the place generally, we all got principles, but hey, it is what it is. And I don't want to go, too deep, but it is what it is. And I don't know, I don't want to, I don't know if there's more stuff. I'm not saying that he hasn't, given up on Rumble or whatever. But the next level of intrigue, we're talking about Ivan Teller right now, KJ. And Ivan Teller's channel coming back. What is especially interesting to me is the fact that when his channel came back, I need to double check this because I've just seen his new videos. But what appeared to me to be the case is that when his channel was restored, meaning, read the terms of service for your Facebook account, for your YouTube account, for not just your YouTube account, but for your Gmail account, for your various accounts. And know and understand that in that minutia and in that fine print, sure, you own your property and you own your data. But it was the biggest wake-up call for me was back in the day when I accidentally ended up signing up for Facebook. I had no intention for signing up for Facebook ever. But it was 2000 and I think it was like 2012 or something. We were trying to sign up trying to create a Facebook account for my office. And trying to figure out how to do it, we inadvertently created a Facebook account for moi. And that's how I joined Facebook. And when I wanted to leave Facebook, I had the experience that everybody has when they first leave Facebook, which is, sorry to see you go. But don't worry. You can come back anytime. Anytime. We mean it. And when you do, your Facebook journey will pick up right where you left off. And you can be confident that when you come back, no. When you end your Facebook account and you stop, we're going to shut down no one will be able to find you. No one will be able to find your data and information. Don't you worry. But when you want to come back, all that stuff will be right here waiting for you. Safe and sound. Meaning what? Meaning they're not getting rid of that information, meaning that information is saved and there. And in case you're curious, the legal questions, hold on 1 second, folks, I apologize. The legal questions and concerns abound because you need to know and understand that these are companies that have long-term goals. They have studies that show the number of Facebook accounts, active Facebook accounts that are owned by individuals who are deceased. And we know that copyright, for the most part, sunsets, meaning that copyright claims and claims of ownership sunset and eventually will end. And I don't mean to assume things that I don't know, but if it may be the case that an individual who has a YouTube account that's been deleted, there might be a period where YouTube holds on to this information because maybe there are, as it appears to be the case with Ivan Teller, there are appeals left unresolved that may be still in dispute. And So the ultimate resolution of a channel termination hasn't been finalized. Or it may be the case that YouTube, as a matter of policy or procedure or undecided policy or procedure, just the system hasn't, there's no indication or instruction for the automated processes to say when a channel is deleted, delete not only access to the information and data, but purge the data and information. We know that there are questions and controversies about the so-called trolling and aggregating and use of people's intellectual property, writing, art, to train AI models and such. If we take these two things in tandem, that there's data and information that's been put on social media by people that may at one point be still in the possession of these companies, Facebook, Instagram, XYZ, whatever corporation, or may come into the possession of third parties that never had contact with the original social media users, right? Chinese corporation in year 25 buys all of the cloud services that were once maintained by American company X in year one. And now is in possession of how many teraflops of personal photos, blogs, vlogs, videos, papers, statements, poetry, whatever, what have you, data that is now under some analysis fair use or just open for their use. Maybe not under American law, but maybe this is now an international issue because they're a Chinese corporation, like I said, or whatever. And they then just start feeding it into their AI algorithms for source information or data. The implications are the implications, and the implications are unknown to the majority of us because the majority of us don't even read, to say nothing of the fine print. Most people don't even read anything of the terms of service. They don't even read page 1. They don't read anything past, this is how you upload a video to YouTube. Congratulations on your purchase of your new iPhone, your new Samsung Galaxy. Here's how to, put your booty up on the internet. And it is what it is. And in the meantime, it creates just this incredible, strange ripple where I have a video that says we've lost the Ivan Teller channel. What do I go? Do I go back and make an addendum, edit the video? Like, what's the cost benefit analysis when, the view count on that video, basically we know people watch, the view count of not just my videos, but most videos. It's this strange thing, this strange experience that I'm still learning how to deal with. And I've been learning to try to deal with and try to make heads or tails of since I started making YouTube videos. The nature of a YouTube video is such that it's a permanent record. It's a permanent statement. So it makes you feel like it should have some gravitas. It should have some veracity, and it should stand the test of time. But the permanency is an accidental afterthought. It is essentially FM talk radio. It is essentially just like a talking head on CNN or Fox News, which is, really lousy reach, right? Someone may upload an episode of the Glenn Beck show from October 3rd, 2007 to YouTube for the sake of posterity. But it's not going to get watched that much, and to say nothing of the number of videos that were uploaded to YouTube itself just on October 3rd, 2007, whatever. And every day, gigs and gigs and teraflops of data are uploaded to the internet, but there's only X number of humans with that internet access and only X number of hours that can be spent consuming internet content for any given day. And every day, X number of content people that you may like are making content, it can be daunting to just deal with all this data. I would find myself constantly adding things to playlists, leaving things like streaming services to the side, just taking YouTube in consideration. I would find myself adding topical content, like newsworthy content, like news content to playlists, and then constantly finding myself with playlists that I would just have to scrap because the content that it contained, the news information that it was addressing was out of date. To say nothing of the fact that so many of us are consuming news information that, is it news or is it just editorial analysis and opinion? And I have to be frank, well, I think that I do a fairly good job of even the editorial people that I listen to, choosing right-minded or smart people to listen to. There are plenty of people who it's garbage in, garbage out. If you're listening to malarkey people saying things that are either a wrong-sided analysis or just, guided by either emotion or agenda, or if they're just, two shits to the moon as far as either intellectual capability or just, they're just, it's just a wackadoo analysis. It's just crazy time. But what are you going to do? This is the life, this is the world that we currently live in. And we're trying to make the best of it. Tim Frey says we lost the original Ivan Teller channel. Tim, I have to be completely honest with you. The Ivan Teller channel that's come back appears to be the original Ivan Teller channel. So I want to avoid disinformation within this. As Cyrax also quit YouTube, and then again, like the amount of time that Cyrax has quit YouTube. Like, look, I'll tell you this. There was a DJ called DJ Frankie Bones. He might say, I mean, there was a DJ. This is ironic. I don't know if this is the correct term to use the term ironic. Back in the day, DJ Frankie Bones was one of the first techno DJs in New York City. Okay. But they're at a crossroads of the guy's actual problems with, or rumored problems with substance abuse, plus the fact that he had this was the reputation, was that he had a unique way of dealing with people that would stiff him, promoters that would stiff him for not paying him in advance. One of it was an East Coast rave cliche. Frankie Bones is dead. Okay. Frankie Bones used to get booked for 1,000,003 raves up and down the East Coast. So you see flyers all the time with DJ Frankie Bones. And people would be like, Oh shit, DJ Frankie Bones is playing. We gotta go. We gotta go. Frankie Bones is playing. Frankie Bones is playing. Okay, and then you get to the gig and be like, when's Frankie Bones gonna play? And someone will be like, oh shit, you didn't hear? No, no, man. What the fuck? Yo, man. Yo, man. Frankie Bones is dead, man. Shit, what? No. Yeah, man. No, it's true this time. Man, they're always, no, it's true this time. Adam X said it. Heather Hart confirmed it. Yo, my sister-in-law does Heather Hart's nails. Frankie Bones is dead. Heroin overdose. They found him this morning. Frankie Bones is dead. I shit you not. Frankie Bones, in my lifetime on the rave scene, Frankie Bones, people must have told me 7 times to my face that Frankie Bones was dead, that he wasn't at the gig that we were supposed to be hearing him because he was dead. I saw him spin 3 times. There was a couple of times, might not have been him. It might have been actually Adam X. There was the other thing was like he was like the kind of guy like also like MF Doom. Like there were rumors that he would use like ringers and stuff. He was like an in-demand guy, and also like if people stiffed him, here was the thing that I found. Like if people stiffed him, he would be like, "Did you pay me? Did the check clear? The check didn't clear. Tell him I'm fucking dead." That was what it was. I'll play. You're okay. This apparently was the true blue real deal. Imagine that this is not a cell phone, that this is a landline, because we're going back in the day. So this is a landline, right? I pick up an actual landline, but if I pick up an actual landline, you're gonna hear like it's gonna be a buzz tone or whatever. I hate that tone, right? It's gonna be like this shit. Oh, you want to book me? How many parties you actually throw? Your first one. Hartford, Connecticut? $800, 1,000, whatever it is. But here's the wiring instructions. If the money's not in, I'm not getting in my car. We're not going up. We're not playing. If by Tuesday the money's not in, we're not coming. So you can call me back and confirm when the money's cleared. I'll be there. Peace. And it what? Thursday night, whatever, 8 a.m., 8:30 p.m. But what's up? Not, what? That have more? Nah. Tell them I'm dead. That was it. You know, the money didn't clear. Tell them I'm fucking dead. Right? Frankie just bones now. Okay. So it is what it is. So well, I don't even know where I got lost. I got lost in the time shuffle, kids. I got lost in the time shuffle. I got lost straight up. Not even gonna lie. I got lost in the time shuffle. I don't know where I was with that. Cyrax leaving. You gotta follow this. So here's see KG. Well, this time it appears Cyrax left because he's scared of getting arrested for flashing online when he gets upset on panels. If you know, you know. I know guy flashes the wand all the time. So if he left again. Does that mean he's going to be gone forever? That's what I'm saying, right? Be careful of calling definitives, right? I make my calls. I make my calls when I think that they're pretty much locked in, right? But I've made calls in the past and been like, this guy's never going to sue me. Who would be that stupid enough to sue me? That guy was dumb enough to sue me. I guess I was wrong, right? That's why David Wilcock is going to go off talking about people people dumb that he's going to sue. Okay, that's not how I would spend. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you another thing. Do I think he's going to get a $10 million loan? First of all, FYI, in case you're curious, there are some interest rates that are patently illegal. There are certain deeds for real estate transactions that, if they don't contain certain pieces of information, are not enforceable on their face. But that's not legal advice. But it is me saying, hey, I'm going to stick to role-playing games. You want to talk about Cyrax? We'll talk about Cyrax, Frankie Bones back in the day, and Nostalgia Loop Nightmares and that stuff. We're keeping it light, moving forward, right? Because this real world crazy is real world crazy, and I'm not interested in bumming anyone out to the point where they're feeling like they're going to do extra stupid and extra crazy, because it is not worth it. Where there's a wand, there's a way. Yeah, but sometimes it could be to the seat right over there, right? Let's have a seat over there, right? Where there's a wand, there's a way. But sometimes it's the other guy's wand and you just don't want to know. You know what I mean? Just think warm thoughts. You know what I mean? Chrono magic is real. Do you know what I mean? It is real, absolutely. But it can get screwed up. Wait, I was going to do this thing. Hold on, let me just do this real quick. So I just want to point this out real quick. So this will be like, we'll call this. So that was Ivan Teller. Ivan Teller, I don't know. God bless him. He's back. I think it's the original channel. I think it's the main channel. He's back. You know what I mean? God bless him. I'm glad. I hope he keeps it light. I hope he stays out of the First of all, these people that are still hope. Oh shit! Talking about political stuff that can get out of hand. If you look at the description box below, first of all, look at the description box below. We'll go to one thing. History will never be the same again. Oh yeah, we you know what I mean? We've annihilated history, because I don't know what to tell you guys. We are about to step into the abyss. Dude, we are in the future, the 1980s dystopian movies predicted. We are post the election of the game show reality TV show host, right? We are post Camacho. We went from a dysfunctional two-party system, and thanks to KGB interference, I'm not going to call it any other way. That's what I suspect. Thanks to social media meddling from the world's greatest kung fu fighter, apparently trained by Shane the Ruiner, if the blog is to be believed. It's not, but reality TV, right? Fox's Friends, there you go. It was a game show, right? It was a game show, reality TV show, right? My God. It's full of stars. This literally it's literally, we can look back on Al Gore versus Bush. I remember being in Washington, D.C. at a party that took place during the day. It was called like Starscream. Okay. And it took place during the day. Instead of being a rave that took place at night, because this Washington D.C. Armory was only available during the day. This was a huge rave that took place between 12 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 p.m. So the smoke area was on the roof. And you could go up on the roof and look across all of Washington, D.C. And this was at the height of Bush v. Gore, when the Supreme Court had not yet made a decision. And we were talking about the craziness of that, and we thought that was as far out as it could possibly get. And January 6th just took that and went into overdrive. A preview of what we might talk about on the RPG channel. This is from 2004. So this is 2004, Exalted. So this is David Icke era timeline, right? This is David Icke and the Reptilians and the Dracos. The sleeper was waterless, breathless, without heartbeat. His brain did not function, and his soul fluttered endlessly on the verge of release, yet never escaped. All the sleeper's essence had been extracted centuries ago by the stasis apparatus, which had rendered the still living corpse far more sterile and desolate than any desert in creation. Held in the grasp of the stasis tube, the Dragon King warrior lingered between life and death. Such sleepers had always been curiosities. Indeed, the stasis tube the sleeper had laid in had been a medical model designed centuries before to hold victims for a few weeks or perhaps a few months, while specialist physicians made the journey to the patient's location. The secrets of growing the sensitive crystals that enable the machine to function were long forgotten when the great contagion began to slay dragon kings as well as mortal men. Indeed, the units were dusty and long forgotten in the storehouses beneath Rathes. They had been rehabilitated in a matter of days as the contagion and the armies of the fair folk made their deadly progress. And then, cutting to the chase, but now the sleeper was awakening. Essence flowed into the wood-dry body, bringing with it the return of life. One of the recent battles in the city had sent water dripping down underground through new cracks. Gently, it had dripped into the ancient control panel on Susuma's stasis unit. There, in the withered heart of the controls, the water brought life and renewed functionality. And so the Dragon King awakens from his stasis pod. That's 2004, 20 years ago. But the point being is nostalgia loops. The song remains the same. It was 2015 when people were talking about, in the conspiracy theory land, about the giants awakening. Anunnaki. It's all in this mythology that keeps on coming back and being repeated over and over again. Fox's friends. I'm sure I had a nightmare that a sleep stack would catch a Morn in the 70s. Yeah, the Slee Stacks. And remember, folks, Sid and Marty Krofft smoked weed, right? And probably listened to, Red Zachariah Sitchin and all this stuff. Lemuria and Moo. It's all there. And remember, it was 2009 or 2008 or 2009 that they did the remake of Land of the Lost, where if you go, the main bad guy, the main bad Slee Stack, his name sounds almost exactly like Enki. His name is not Enki, it's like some variation on it, right? So it's all that's the whole point. The whole thing is we keep on doing feedback loops. But like I said, this is just we're at the grab bag portion of the proceedings, as I have 40 people live and we're at the 46-minute mark. But on that note, and speaking of these things that I might talk about in the future with these nostalgia loop nightmares. The Grindhouse movies. Remember when Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did the Grindhouse movies? They came out first as a double bill, smushed together, but then they came out, separately. Death Proof. I forget what the Robert Rodriguez um, one was, but I saw Death Proof recently. That came out in 2007. And the reason I wanted to look at that as a nostalgia loop nightmare was this, and this point that we keep on repeating cycles. We're coming up to the 90s finally. We had 30 years of the 80s. And I was wondering why it took us so long to hang out in the 80s. But remember that as these things are feedback looping on top of each other, things become muddled because you have people that have become famous and then they hold on. So you have these grindhouse movies, and you have Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino's first movies that he became famous for it was Reservoir Dogs and it was Pulp Fiction, right? That was the 90s. Reservoir Dogs, his breakout hit, I think, was 92 or 93. And Pulp Fiction was probably 94. We're right at the peak of Pulp Fiction feedback loop. But this is what I talked about, a real nostalgia loop nightmare. Because Pulp Fiction is a love letter, as most stuff from the 90s was, to the 70s. The problem that we're going to have as a society with memory and nostalgia is that starting in the 80s, we associate and we remember a lot of things from the 80s that were new for the 80s, like the advent of video games and role-playing games and the things about like the neon and stuff, the things that was novel. But if you actually go back to the 80s and look at a lot of 80s movies, like even The Toxic Avenger, so much of the 80s that you might not realize, especially if you were a child of the 80s, is a nostalgia trip itself. You'll be amazed at how much 80s content is actually an homage to the 50s or the 60s. So much of the neon aesthetic that we associate with the 80s is really an homage to the heyday of neon, which is the 50s, and diner culture. And the black and white patterns that we associate with the 80s a lot is really, when you see that black and white pattern that we associate a lot with the 80s, that's an homage to diner culture and diners floors, where if you look, you'll see that when we encountered that pattern in 80s environments, they're oftentimes in faux 50s diners where the cars are like the booths are 1954 Chevys that have been cut in half and with wings and stuff. And you'll see that a lot of the 80s stuff, you're having people like, what was a big movie in the 80s was Dirty Dancing, which is about the early days of the 1960s. If you see the Toxic Avenger movie, they're all partying to the sound of the Smithereens. The Smithereens are the guys that are playing the big concert where the couple gets all freakified. And if you listen to the songs that the Smithereens are playing at that event, they're not playing synthesizer 80s stuff. The Smithereens are a faux Beatles kind of band. Oh. They're all playing like Hangstrom style guitars. They're all dressed in black. They've got these kind of mod haircuts. They look like the Beatles circa 63, 64. And by the time you get to the 90s, the nostalgia trip is in full effect. There's almost nothing to the 90s as an era that isn't really just the 70s. Whether it's house and techno that was considered and sold as this grand, brand new revolution, and the kids are doing this wild, crazy new thing. What are you talking about? It's a drug culture based on experimentation and the using of chemical, better living through chemistry, but essentially it's disco. And that's not to slam it, because I have no problem with disco. But if you look at rave culture, you look at the number of people in the 90s that were doing the revival of jam bands. The Grateful Dead came back into fashion with the kids in the 90s. Or these grunge bands that people tried to tell you that they were some sort of an aspect of punk. They weren't. They were just, essentially like Creedence Clearwater Revival and Eagles cover bands. I mean, they were. You know what I mean? And to the degree that we're punk, the punk was an aspect of the 70s. But bringing it back home to Quentin Tarantino and Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and bringing it now into where we're going to be looking back on being nostalgic, or kids being nostalgic for the 90s. Are they nostalgic for the 90s? Or are they nostalgic for the 70s? And how is it now being nostalgic for the 70s when the 70s came before the 80s, but we just experienced the 80s ad nauseum for 30 plus years? And with the lack of a massive mainstream cohesive culture, whether you love it or you hate it, the existence of FM radio, MTV, and cable television as central transmitting, and the mall and record stores and commodification of mainstream production units of, there are always underground cultures, but for the most part, there were still mainstream aspects of culture. Yes, you still have urban, aka minority communities gravitating towards hip hop and different musics, and you still have the majority of white kids listening to rock and roll, but which is not necessarily a great thing that people are stratifying that way. But still, you can have people that are saying, oh, the 90s, we were all listening to this, or we were all listening to that. Yeah, there was pop music for pop music people and rock music for rock music people. And there was these subdivisions to a degree, but they were big subdivisions. Where still, for the most part, people still had, maybe it wasn't back in the day where there were only 4 channels, and when you went and everyone had seen Lucille Ball, everyone knew what exactly had happened on Dragnet because everyone had seen Dragnet. Maybe it wasn't that exact, but there was still a cohesion to culture where people could say, I know what you're talking about when you talk about that show. But whereas we talk about today, where there is absolutely, because of the internet, everyone is watching and doing their own thing. I experience it with my children. My children's peer group, their cohort, even amongst themselves, do not have a general unifying, one TV show that they watch. This kid is watching this thing. This kid is plugged into this manga. This kid is watching this anime. This kid is this private, YouTube content creator that they watch all their stuff. It is just everyone's listening to their own thing. Everyone's doing their own micro cultural activity. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying it's a state of affairs that we can look at. And I might be mixing up a lot of different things here, and maybe try to bring it home a little bit. Where it can get a little bit, maybe I should rein it in a little bit. Let me try and focus up. Hold on. So, where we might have a complete fractalization in the modern sense of where people are all over the map. where you might not even be able to say that we're in nostalgic for any particular period of time, because this person could be in 1805 and this other person could be in 1979 and this other kid can be essentially living in 2001, maybe. And maybe that's part of it. But let me, before I move on to another thing, or before I try and interject or a central conclusion, let me go back to Quentin Tarantino. His 70s movies, his love affair with the 70s, which I think is why his movies were successful. My take on Quentin Tarantino is that it's flashy, it's exciting, it's reference points that bring you back. And much like David Lynch, it's the juxtaposition of reference points that you like for different reasons with things that are shocking and violent, which creates this juxtaposition that people find has a frisson to it. So it's, solid gold, Daddy-O, as she blows the guy away. So it's, it's these things. But it's, especially a movie like Pulp Fiction, it's, to me, it's this homage, and it's this cavalcade of reference points that make you go, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. John Travolta. Hey, Saturday Night Fever. What? Who? Where? When? Oh, he's dancing. Hey, Epic Burger. That's cool. We don't have those out here. Guy's badass. They don't have my chops like that anymore. They had them in the 70s, and it's the 90s, and we're all about the 70s. We're loving the 70s. But you get to Grindhouse. Grindhouse is made in 2007. That's over a decade after Pulp Fiction. And this is before Quentin Tarantino moves on to, then he starts making those Western movies or whatever. And I'm going to tell you completely honest, just like Woody Allen, I think in Quentin Tarantino, you have a guy who did amazing, great films that really impacted and hit people and let people know this is a man who's capable of making great movies. And because he made the impact and let people know that he was capable of making great movies, that leads people to say, we're going to treat this guy's movies with an assumption that these are great and good movies. Okay? I think a lot of his movies are really not that great. I think his movies essentially are a lot of references with amazing actors who really are amazing, strikingly dramatic persona who, look, it's been said before, Samuel L. Jackson could probably read a phone book and impress the shit out of you. It just is what it is. And I'm not going to get into it. There are people who love David Lynch who think my take on David Lynch is insane, but whatever, it is what it is. But when you get to Grindhouse, you say to yourself, what is this movie? When is it taking place? And what is the point of making something that looks like it came from another time and era? Especially, what is the point of trying to make something that is probably something that was a type of thing that was good because it was bad, right? It's supposed to be a grindhouse movie, but a grindhouse movie by definition is not high-class cinema. A grindhouse movie is something that usually is generally in that category of things that is so bad that it's good. Or exceeded expectations despite its limitations. This director was given this paltry budget. These actors and actresses were not trained professionals. They were just stunt people whose primary skill set was kung fu fighting and, jumping out of flaming cars with little to no safety precautions. And despite that, how about that scene when the two guys are in the bar and they're talking about who's going to kill their brother, sister, whatever the case may be? What are you trying to recreate? And what is the point of trying to recreate that? Especially down to, we're going to emulate the bad film stock. We're going to self-consciously, with modern technology, recreate artificially jumps in the frame, cuts. We're going to, back in the day, there was technology that was invented that would add vinyl crackle to your digital files, to make it sound like it was an old-timey record. But there's a word for creating a forgery. It's called creating a forgery, and there is a reason why people had moral and ethical qualms about creating forgeries. Now, it's one thing if you make a recreation of an Egyptian bust, but at a level or an expense that maybe not an average person, but a person with a small amount of means could afford. But you do it in a way that's not trying to deceive anybody. You're not trying to create an actual art forgery here. You're not trying to create an actual, black market, inauthentic artifact to fool somebody. You're just trying to create something that can be on display in somebody's house because they're, into ancient Egypt or something. That might be one thing. But in a world where anyone can get a copy of, Lady Dragon, or, people can source these actual movies, why not, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez could have chosen to say, what we're going to do? We're going to remaster and release the three greatest Grindhouse movies that we know of, and we're going to bring them out to the public. Or you know what we're going to do? We're going to remake 3-inch Dick, or whatever, The Man Who Couldn't Be Stopped, or whatever the case may be. But they didn't. They made two movies that never were, and did their best to try and make them look and appear to be from a time that they weren't. And FY, in case you're curious, we're now at a point where, look, these Grindhouse movies came out in 2007. That's 16 years ago. And I have to tell you, the reason I'm coming to talk about Nostalgia Loop Nightmare, I've got a movie here called, I got notes on it here. It's called, Christ. Hey, it was a pseudo Grindhouse movie. It was called Grindhouse 2. Of course, it wasn't associated in any way, shape, or form with Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez, but it was a modern movie that was trying to be one of these Grindhouse movies. It's essentially a nostalgia trip on this nostalgia trip. And that's a real nostalgia loop nightmare. And when you come to this Grindhouse Death Proof movie, I point out the fact that what year is it taking place in? Because it's shot as if it's is it supposed to be the 70s? Is it a 60s movie? It's not really clear, but some of the fashion is, some of the people are dressed straight up like it's the 70s. But here's the thing: if this had taken place, if Death Proof had been made like Pulp Fiction in 1993, it would have made more sense. But just like Pulp Fiction in 93, it's this strange homage. But it's Pulp Fiction made a little bit more sense because Pulp Fiction clearly was taking place in the modern world, and you could understand that these people that were kind of throwbacks to a different era or time were just kind of idealized people in the director's vision. Do you know what I mean? Who just were just the hippest, coolest LA people who, just because they were hippest, coolest LA people, dressed like it was 1973 instead of dressing like it was 1993. But when you get to Death Proof, which again takes place, it was filmed in 2007. It's 13 years after Pulp Fiction. You can look at the scenes. Half of the people are dressed like it's 1973, and half of the people are dressed like it's 2007. They have cell phones. They have cell phones, but they don't have satellite radio. They have cell phones, but people still can use a payphone. They have cell phones, but the jukebox still has nothing but stuff from the soundtrack from Pulp Fiction. Which, believe you me, there's hip LA haunts or Austin, Texas haunts where you're definitely going to find music that's just like that. But combined with this faux camera work, it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to create a movie that looks like it's supposed to be from 1972, why the fuck do the people have cell phones? And also, why create defects on purpose that were originally just there by mistake? Other than to underline, what is it that made the original good? Are you saying that it was something about this the artifacts of the era that made it good? Because the artifacts of the era were just mistakes or defects of the technology that were just accidents. And if we're acknowledging that the things that really made these things were these accidents or these imagery, then why have any dialogue at all? Why not just have the girls come out, shake their asses and whatever, and just have things blow up? You know what I mean? But it is what it is. It is what it is. FYI, in case you're curious, Grindhouse Death Proof with Ego the Living Planet came out 11 years after Escape from LA in 1996. And 1 year before Rambo in 2008, which came out approximately 20 years after the last Rambo movie, the one where famously they picked the wrong guys to back up because Rambo in that movie was supporting the Mujahideen, which, of course, became the organization that ended up evolving into, Al Qaeda and the Taliban. Anyway, I will now look at the live chat and catch up with the live chat in reverse. I'm going to go in reverse. Escape from New York or Escape from LA? Escape from LA came out in 1996. Escape for approximately 13 or 14 years after Escape from New York. I'm not going to go in reverse. That would be terrible. That would be a terrible way to do it. Let me go I'm back to 30 minutes in the live chat. Jay Roach says, how are you? I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good. We say hello to Julie Beans. There you go. Effluent for you. I have a GeoCities page from 1994 that I cannot remove from the internet. Got 30-year nostalgia loop. Awesome. KGB. That's fucked up. I don't want to see my exes when I go back to my account. Hotel Facebook. You can never leave. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. And folks, I'm telling you something. Remember, it's not just the company that you have the small print deal with. Remember, if they've got the data, it's whoever buys that company, whoever buys that company, who buys that company, whoever buys that company. And remember, folks, at the end of the day, right? If they dig up the ancient burial ground and your Native American burial ground, they give you all the respect in the world. If it's an African American slave burial ground, they stop the bulldozers and they give it all the respect in the world. If it's if you're just I'm not even joking, folks. If this sounds like I'm saying something political, I'm left of Bernie Sanders, but this is the God honest truth. If you're just a regular around the world, if you're just a regular, it's from like the 18 whatevers. Burial ground. We'll move this aside. Move this aside. Those caskets aren't holding together, folks. If you think those caskets are all, you think, it's a construction crew. Oh, they're going to be respectful. They're going to be respectful. They're going to be respectful. And the point being, where am I really going with this, is eventually all of these ones and zeros, to the degree that they stick. Well, first of all, look, folks, hey, we don't know. Here's the great thing. I'm at the point in my life where I understand a couple of things. I don't understand a whole heck of a lot. I've got enough intelligence to know that there's a lot of people more smart than me, right? Smarter than me, right? And I've deduced that there's a whole bunch of people smarter than me that say that the world will probably end in environmental disaster, maybe not tomorrow, right? But it's a distinct possibility, according to a lot of people that I respect intellectually, that me and my children may have to figure out how we're going to kill ourselves a couple of years from now, right? Or there's another group of people that say, what are you talking about? Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. What are you talking about? What are you worried about? What are you worried about? life, love, humanity, abundance, we're going to find a way. Okay? Don't worry about it. Right? People say the stock market's doing great and that doesn't mean anything. You're all still going hell. These people say, don't you don't know what to believe. Right? And currently you're listening to me. Right? And I got to tell you something. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I love you guys and gals and everyone in between. Trust me. If you're not listening to me and taking your advice from me and you're taking your own counsel, you're fools. Everyone here should be listening to me. Right? And if only thing is this, I got enough honesty to tell you folks, listen to me because as far as you're all it, listen. Okay? I'm the best that we got. Trust me. Okay? I am the John Rambo of this movie, and we're fucked, right? Honestly, with all due respect. But don't forget to donate. There's a PayPal button. You give instantaneous donations. Also, you can join my Patreon, which you should. Okay? But we're probably not doomed. But if we are, let's stick together. Okay? But we don't need Indians. We don't need chiefs. Listen. I kept my mom after she passed. I know what you mean. And you know that there was crucial information that you needed to type there in order to make that not sound as ominous and weird as it does with the lack of information, right? Obviously, I think you kept your mom's Facebook page. It is what it is. Okay. Here we go. Genocide. When you step into the abyss steps into you. Right? All this product. I agree. MTV's remote control. Right? What's the difference between that and Uranus? There's a finger in it. What? Colin Quinn. I'm going back to Brooklyn. Fox's friend. I'm sure I didn't. Okay, we got that one. Filmed on Staten Island, of course. Here we go. Here's Pragmatic. Hey, folks, working but listening when I can. There you go. 90s grunge. Yep. Repeat of 60s hippie. 70s hippies. But yeah, we won't split the difference. We'll split the difference. Fox's friends. For many reasons, I wouldn't want to grow up in the 40s or 50s, early 60s. I think my brain somehow feels it must have sucked growing up in black and white because of TV. There you go. There you go. Genocide expressed their love of Jackie Brown. Don't forget Planet Terror. That was the one I was missing. There you go. My favorite movie, Evil Dead 2. Then maybe Holy Grail. There you go. It's a good combination. There you go. 'Tis the season. There you go. We've got people talking to each other. Here we go. Tim Frey saw Groundhouse and came out to hear about V8 of Virginia Tech shooting. At least the first movie had some entertainment value, and the fake previews were pretty funny. But there you go. Fake previews, right? Creating a past that never was. It was a teenage wedding. The old folks wish someone else still use taxi. Here we go. Escape from New York or Escape from... Then we got that. Fox's friends. Eagles have been on an over a 20-year loop since their farewell tour started in 2023. Residency in the Sphere is booked now. Oh, my God. We got Kilendall joining us. Kilendall, inflating the money supply will make the stock market look great. We're not going to get into it. There you go, baby. I love you. KJ, imagine if Elon Musk does go to Mars and then it just becomes a safe haven for Nazis like Twitter. Now, here's the funny thing about it becoming a safe haven. We got news today that apparently the voice of the alliance, according to David Wilcock believes that Shadow of Ezra, erstwhile Twitter account holder, Shadow of Ezra, according to David Wilcock, apparently is the new Buanon, the voice of the Alliance. There's no alliance. And FYI, what's the Alliance doing? Posting to Twitter leftover right-wing conspiracy memes like, Harry Potter's trying to teach your kids black magic, and the, barcodes are, from the devil. Listen to Jordan Maxwell. He's a prophet I think you should listen to. When they're not doing anything to prevent someone from getting like 43 criminal convictions, and oh, by the way, stopping his stock from tanking or making an ass out of himself. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump on several occasions has said that Ghislaine Maxwell, the fixer for, Jeffrey Epstein, was a fine, upstanding individual, and he wished her well as she was headed off to prison for, procuring underage girls for a pimp master Julius. FYI, in case you're curious. Also, Matt Gaetz, another individual that Donald Trump has supported for none other than governor of a state, is also in hot water for, getting busted, having intercourse with underage women for hire. So, you want to open your eyes, people? Or do you want it to be the case that, well, people have already done it? We had a dysfunctional two-party system that didn't work. Now we're going to have a dysfunctional one-party system that didn't work. That's not going to work. So it is what it is. But it is what it is. Oh, but Shadow of Ezra got his account terminated by Twitter. But don't worry, he got reinstated. It is what it is, folks. My mom's Facebook. There you go. There you go. It's been a long week, honey. I'm just making fun. I'm just commenting to comment. It was what it was. Didn't they make the Machete movie because it was in Grindhouse as a fake preview? Yeah, they did. I think they did. Machete was a decent movie. My favorite scene in Machete is when he's going around and he's killing people with the weed whacker, and that one security guard is just like, fuck it, I'm out. Just drops his gun and walks away. That was my highlight from the Machete movie. That's the one thing I remember. The Archons are coming back, Jack. Absolutely. In a sequel. They were Neighbors, of course. They remade Neighbors. Remember, folks, we've lived long enough. They rebooted The Fall Guy, right? Which, FYI, in case you're curious, was an attempt to revitalize the career of Lee Majors, right? After the $6 Million Man, right? The $6 Million Man had wrapped. We're like, we could still do something with Lee Majors. So they did The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was whatever. But here we are 18 bajillion years later. We've run out of every idea under the sun. So we got to reboot something. So they're bringing back Ken from the Barbie movie. I forget his real name. And it's The Fall Guy. We also have Justin Timberlake got busted for DUI. And my kids were like, who's Justin Timberlake? No fame lasts. No one is famous anymore. Everything is whatever. We're all just splooge in a splooge jar. I love you all. Juicy J, if you keep dead cats around your house, this will keep the cable away. Is that true? Why would you want to keep Ryan Gosling? I like Ryan Gosling. I'm not going to go see the Fall Guy movie. First of all, I like the Fall Guy movie when it was. Remember MacGruber? Why didn't they just redo it as MacGruber? That's what I'm saying. If you look in the description box below, you will see. Hold on. Okay, let me do this. Okay. You will see a link to this channel, Synthetic Rebellion, okay, has had multiple channels get struck down. So this is his new channel. So go check out his new channel, okay? You'll see it in the description box below. Okay. Make sure to subscribe to Synthetic. I want to lead with that, but I forgot to lead with that. And there you go. So, folks, it's been an hour and a half. We're coming up on 8:30. The sun is going down. Long ago, someone left with the cup. From 2003, the Egyptian Tarot, all-time travel leads to the timeline in the pyramids, right? Hope you enjoyed this broadcast. Remember, do me a favor if you can. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, we're trying to boost the views on this channel to see if we can get monetized. So if you can take a look and see if there's any videos on this channel that you would like to see and watch those bad boys to completion, that would be awesome. But your life is your life. You only have a certain amount of time in your existence. So I appreciate the time that you do spend with me. When you spend time with me and you let me into your memory banks and you commit whatever amount of time or energy to that precious time that you will not ever get back, and you choose to spend it on me and my wacky ideas and thoughts and exposition, that feels good. That means something. Okay? Read a spiritual text every day, chant every day. It's what works for me. It may work for you. If you find that it works for you, God bless. You can write me an email and I'll send you an 11-page PDF explaining Commonwealth chanting. You can contact me if you want a tarot card reading for a nominal fee as well. Today's card, number 13. Death. Change is inevitable. Don't fear the Reaper. Change happens. I may look at these nostalgia loop nightmares and I may use the word nightmare. It's a statement of feeling and experience. But it's just the state of affairs. We may look at the jackal-headed god Anubis and we may get freaked out by this process of getting our hearts weighed against the feather. But if it's happening, it's happening. Don't freak. It's not going to help. Breathe in, breathe out, and go with the flow. Think critically, think twice. Have some fun along the way. And stay tuned. Let's see what happens next. What do you think about all the things that I've said? Get involved. Make the process happen. Help the process happen. Create community. Create community here. Make a friend. Don't make an enemy. Celebrate life. Don't take out a $10 million loan on 50% interest. That'd be my advice. That's not legal advice. If there's anything I forgot to talk about, anything that I forgot to say, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. And I'll try and cover it next time. Okay? Until the next time. I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That's somebody CW Chanter. Make of it what you will, because you will. 20-year loop, 30-year in the loop, big ones. So look for The Office. And look a lot for what you see already a lot, which is a lot of 90s. But here's the thing that we're going to experience, and here's the thing that's going to shock a lot of people, is that unlike the 80s, the 90s has a lot of things, but it doesn't have a lot of things that you can sell. There's not a lot of plastic with the 90s. Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Dungeons and Dragons, video games. A lot of these sellable things, knickknacks, tchotchkes, the consumerism bug in and of itself, the shiny, happy, let's all go to the mall and buy some shit vibe. And the Ronald Reagan shtick that we saw with the 80s. If we're moving into the 90s, a lot of that stuff has sunset, which may be why we may have seen a lot of that stuff do its final, last, desperate gasp. I posited that Donald Trump and the ascendancy of this BooAnon and MAGA stuff may have been a very, very, very strong reaction to the natural change and transition that was signaled by the election of Barack Hussein Obama. And an indication that we truly were going into a new direction where a lot of past assumptions about the manifest destiny of certain hegemonies were being finalized and said no to. I don't want to have an agenda. I want to be open to see what is actually happening. I have theories and ideas. If you have a theory and idea that you get too attached to, you'll fuck up the scientific experiment. You need to see what the actual results of the scientific experiment are. You need to have a theory. You want to see what actually transpires and takes place. But we do live in interesting times, and interesting times continue to evolve and change. Stay involved with me. In times of change and transition and chaos, it's nice sometimes to have things to hold on to. Hold on to me. I love you.